What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well today. Apologies for the delay since the last upload. First, I don't know what's happened to me. Time just seems to have disappeared. I thought it had been maybe like 3-4 days since I last uploaded, and then I go and check and it's been over a week. But welcome to this one. Today, what we're going to be doing is it's kind of come time for me to lock in a little bit more for this Supercross season, because there's potential there. I'm just lacking a little bit of speed, maybe a second or so in qualifying, maybe half a second to maybe 0.8 of a second per lap in the actual races. So unless I get a really good start at the moment, I'm kind of screwed, but there is definitely potential there and room for improvement. So what we're going to be doing today is we have DA Mod's latest track. This is his round 4 of his Supercross series, which is on MXB Mods, but it is a pay what you can basis. So you can donate to the track if you want to. You can also get it for free if you want to as well. And I highly recommend people give these tracks a go. They are incredibly difficult, but there is no better way, I think, than throwing yourself in at the deep end and doing the hardest stuff, because if you manage to get the hard stuff right, everything else will be easy. So not only are we going to be learning the track together today, I want to maybe break sections or obstacles in the game down a little bit more to maybe give some tips at the same time. So I hope you enjoy it. And by the looks of this layout, it looks to be the same as round 3, but in reverse. So the rhythm sections have been like flipped around in some areas, which will be quite cool. We'll definitely give that a go. So without further ado, let's spin some laps, learn a track together, and hopefully you can take something away from this video that will hopefully improve your riding as well. Now, I am getting a little bit bored of riding the KTM all the time. It's fine for me to rock up at aerial races on the Fridays on it, but for the sake of just having fun in videos at the same time, we're going to mix it up. We are actually riding the Suzuki 450 today, so I want you to give me a little bit of leeway as well. As we know, the Suzuki is a little bit on the slower side in terms of power. The handling of it's fine, the suspension on it's usually pretty damn good, but the overall speed, I mean, from a casual perspective, the bike is, you know, really, really good, very competitive. It's when you then, I usually look at things from a, I guess, pro or top 1% part of the game perspective, where every tenth of a second counts. And like I said in the intro, where we've got such a competitive field these days, and I'm finding myself to be about a second off the pace where I need to be. Imagine, wait, do we go under there or do we go here? I think we go here. Imagine how far off the pace I would be if I rocked up on a Suzuki instead of one of the more meta bikes. It would not be very good at all. So I do need to ride the Triad bikes. Now we jump. We are jumping our way through it. Okay, that's interesting. That's different. I'm guessing you meant to triple before that. Maybe get a little tyre tap going in here somewhere, as Aiden is a avid banana enjoyer. He likes a little tyre tap or two as well, so we're very, very similar in that regards. We do not want to get our head on that. And then I think we pop another 180 back onto the start straight here. A little split section going into it. You can go on, off, probably over this. And then if you can get the speed to quad all the way into the corner, I'm not sure, but we'll tackle that the further we go as well. I don't know if well, most of you probably know by now because of how, I guess, late this video is after the last upload. So my last video was how the game's gone and people are front flipping Supercross triples and stuff like that to gain time in laps. That has been banned from Aerial. They have said no to that. If anyone gets caught doing it for a qualifying lap or in the race, it is basically disqualified. Your qualifying lap gets removed or you get disqualified from the race results. So that is a massive no-no, which they did put it up. Did they put that for a poll? No, they didn't put that bit up for a poll, so we didn't get to vote on that. I've kind of voted to keep it in, as well as it might look silly on broadcasts and things like that. It's definitely a skill gap. It is a skill issue, and it's something, and that's just another tool, I guess, that people have to learn. Because whilst we would like this game to be a simulator as such, it's not really, is it? It is still very, very arcadey, so I think we can have a bit of fun with it from time to time. And then after that, they did do a vote in the Aerial Discord for banning or keeping the beta. Now, I imagine my opinion on this is also very biased because the only win that I've had this year was on the beta, so that's definitely skewing my opinion of it. But the beta got banned. It's gone, which is why nobody's riding them anymore in aerial races. It's still obviously very viable and usable in casual lobbies and stuff, but if you are doing aerial racing, the beta is no longer allowed. And I think the reason the majority of people wanted it gone is not because there's a one bike meta, because we've had that in the past. The KTM, for example, for the last year and a half has been really, really OP. compared to every other bike. It was by far the fastest and handled the best, so everyone rode it. The issue that we had on the meta, well, I guess it was the meta. The issue that we have on the beta now, or had on the beta before it got banned, is that the OEM team themselves admitted there was an error with it. So when you go into the garage and you click on info to view your bike and it tells you the weight and the power and everything like that, those are just labels. That's not the actual value. Now, ideal world, that value wouldn't match up to what the bike actually has, and for every other bike that is true. However, I believe the beta was off slightly, and the exact way it was off, we don't know. I don't know if it was lighter than it was meant to be or if it was faster than it was meant to be, but there was an issue with it, and it was noticeably more powerful. And anybody that hopped on the beta, I say anybody, I'm talking for like the majority now. I'm sure there's some of you out there that might have vibed with another bike more. Any of the top level guys that hopped on the beta were able to run a lap time at least a second quicker than any other bike they hopped on. So it didn't become a case of, well, it wasn't the case of, you know, if you was good enough at the game, like in the past, if you didn't want to ride the KTM in the past, for example, you could try another bike and still do well. I know last year, for example, I managed to get one of the wins in Supercross on the Suzuki. Like I feel like that's quite impressive to do. But this year, there was no comparing. You know, the beta was just so far clear of every other bike. So for that reason, I can see why it went. And to be fair, it's ended up being a bit of a good fit, because last round at Detroit, which was the first race since the beta had been banned, we saw a handful of KTMs, a handful of Huskies, a handful of Yamahas. So there was genuine splits, and it does seem this could be the very, very first time in the game's really long history where we've had multiple viable bikes. And I can really only think back to maybe like beta 16. Please tell me there is not an invisible barrier there. That is a good fast line to go for at the end of a race if you're trying to battle with someone, maybe. But yeah, maybe beta 16 when there was Hondas and Cowies and all that were fast. I was in a Discord call the other day with Reese, who's one of the OGs of the game. His kind of peak, I guess, was around 2020-ish, something like that, maybe beginning of 2021, and was watching back some really old videos, like before aerial was even a thing. This was PDMX era back in 2020-ish, and it was very odd seeing so many different coloured bikes on the start. I don't know if it was a different mentality in riders back then, or if proper metas hadn't been discovered, but I remember watching the gate drop and I saw literally every single brand of bike on the gate. And I don't think the OEM team were as, I don't know if I'm the right word for it, were as focused on balancing bikes then either, which makes it even more strange. But back then it was basically whatever bike you like in real life, or whichever one maybe you feel comfortable in the game, you rode. You know, there wasn't, this is the best bike, here's the suspension that everyone uses for it, go and try and win, basically, which I feel like it is now. But yeah, we have a little bit of leeway now. We've got 3 bikes. I imagine you could also see someone get, ooh, I don't think I'm going to be able to put that on this thing. I imagine you can also see people get like the Fantic to work, for example, because the Fantic's very close to the Yamaha. Maybe the Gas. I've tried their Gas a handful of times, and to be fair, a lot of my comparisons and lap times were against the beta, so it kind of blew it away. But the Gas, don't sleep on it. It is very, very good. I feel a little bit disheartened the fact that it's got no quick shift anymore, but apparently they've removed the quick shift from stock in real life, which is why it was on in game. Petition maybe to bring back quick shift on the gas, make it a more viable option again. But so, yeah, other than that, just them 3 bikes: KTM, Husky, Yamaha, in the 450 class at least. 250, I've got no idea what's going on. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't pay much attention, nor do I ride the 250 bikes at all. So can I get like a tyre tap or something? We might have to go roll double before this set whip, because the triple seems a little bit too much of a stretch. Let's try roll double. Roll double, then we can shift up. There you go, that's much better there. And actually, this is a perfect time to start giving you a little bit of, I guess, a lens lesson, which is something that when I've done my one-on-one coaching stuff, this is a really key part. If anyone does Supercross training with me, this is usually something that I do end up teaching them. But if we set a track mark here, I'll give it a go, and then I'll slow down and replay so you can see what I do. That was actually a perfect run as well. So if we go into replay here, go into the orbit camera, not the Jeff Walker camera. So most people will come up to this, we'll call this Whoop 1 rather than entry. This is Whoop 1, this is Whoop 2. Most people will come up to Whoop 1 and they will lean back on the right stick, like as far as they can, basically just try and get their ass off the back of the bike and then I guess pin it and hope that they make it through. The method that I do on every single track without fail, whether it's DDC, whether it's aerial, whoever makes it, it doesn't matter. My technique on Whoop 1 and Whoop 2 is always the same. It's just the remainder of the whoops that then you have to rely on your skill and hours and just muscle memory to know what to do. So what I will do is I will usually try and get into maybe 4th gear as a minimum, because the higher gear that you're in, the better the bike will track through the whoops as well. But I will actually be stood up at this point here, and I will go from being stood up, as counterintuitive as it sounds, I will sit down and lean forwards over this first one. You'll see my rider start to sit down right about here, and I'm leaning forwards. Perfect pause frame right here. But do not worry, we are not going to be hitting any other of these whoops sat down and lean forwards. Around this point here, once my rear wheel has left the ground, I will now stand up and go to more leant back position. And the reason that I sit down and lean forwards here is if I don't, my bike has a tendency to go up rather than going forwards. And if your bike goes up, your front wheel is going to miss the second whoop, and then you're basically just a passenger for the rest of them. So the most important whoop on the entire track is this second one right here. If you can get your front wheel to just kiss the top of it, you should then be able to skim the top of each and every single one without the front wheel dipping, without the back wheel dipping. It should be perfect, which is exactly why I do that. So you can see as I sit down and lean forwards here, the bike goes forwards rather than up. Front wheel just kisses that, and then every other whoop after that is pretty damn perfect. Now, the difference in the whoops, they could be steeper, they could be closer together, they could be further apart. That's when you have to move around a little bit. For the most part, you can stay quite central on the bike. If you feel the front end's going to start dipping a little bit, you can lean back, and vice versa. I've had some situations in whoop sections where I've leant forwards over a whoop or two to try and force the front wheel down into the top of them more. So a lot of that is muscle memory, but the entrance into them first two whoops, for me at least, is always the same. And you can see on my control overlay as well, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to sit down, lean forwards, and then stand up through the rest of them, just tapping back every now and then when I feel like I need it. And it's all just micro adjustments through the rest of it. So there you go, there's a little tip for you if you might be struggling with whoops in particular. And whoops on a track, that's where suspension will come into play the most. I mean, in the past, I've quite often said you don't need a suspension. When it comes to Supercross and it comes to whoops, you do. Realistically, you do. Otherwise, you're just making life harder for yourself. But for like outdoor tracks, for your forests and your farms and all that, you can run completely stock. Doesn't matter at all. It's only if you then start getting to like the really rough stuff, maybe like a Southwick, something like that, that's when you'd need to be rocking a suspension, things like that, just to soak up the bumps better. But for the most part, you can rock her as she comes, but just in whoops, you do need a little bit of help. The other two jumps as well is we have a tunnel jump here, and then straight after the tunnel jump, we have a wall jump. I like to approach both of these in the same way, same method as each other. What you might find is due to the steepness of the tunnel or the steepness of the wall, the bike might go a little bit light sometimes, and then you might get weird front end wobbles, or maybe if you want to throw a little bit of a scrub into the tunnel, maybe the bike will kick out a lot further than you expected. What I will do to stop that is you kind of have to force your bike down into the ground. And to do that, basically as soon as my front wheel hits the base of it here, I will sit down and lean forwards. Exactly the same as we was into the whoops. If I back it up a little bit here, and that just forces the front wheel down, so it stops it going from too light, and it pushes you forwards over the jump rather than going way up into the air. Exactly the same thing on the wall jumps as well. Just as my front wheel gets to about here at the base of it, I will sit down and lean forwards to force that front wheel through the jump rather than going up in the air, and it just stops the bike going super light and super wobbly. So just a handful of techniques there, whether it's the whoop section or a tunnel or a wall jump, just for you all to maybe use and try and incorporate into your riding. And the rest of the track and so the rest of the jumps and stuff like that, you can kind of sit down just at the takeoff for the jumps, soak the jump up a little bit, or if you want to stretch it out, just lean back and then lean forwards in the air. There's no proper seat bouncing mechanic in this game, unfortunately. You just kind of have to stretch things as far as you can and pray for the best. The rest of it is just momentum based, to be honest. I mean, at the pro level, when we're doing our races or qualifying, our lines 99% of the time are the same as each other. The only time we really gain time on one another is at corner speed or staying lower in the rhythms and just soaking up the jumps. And I mean, I'm a bit of a stiff rider in this game. It's like I play in jeans, whereas the other, I say the younger boys, the whippersnappers, the more cracked players at the game, they can just scrub absolutely everything and have no issue at all. Now, I'm kind of regretting my decision to go on the Suzuki right here, because I think that rhythm that I've just gone through would be 10 times easier than one of the faster bikes just for going quad to the end. I'm having to try and get it as perfectly as I can. So, I mean, again, if you are struggling with hitting rhythms, just ride a faster bike, to be honest. That's all there is to it. And then once you learn it on a faster bike, you've mastered it on a faster bike, then if you want to have a bit more fun and ride some different bikes, you can do so, because you've got all them techniques down. You just have to try and get things even more perfect. But practice does make perfect at the end of the day. I'm noticing I'm also getting a lot of laps not counting, so I want to actually try and stay on the track for a lap and try and put a full lap together. I'm aware that I'm not doing the best job at showcasing these tracks, but to D. Alves, I think these tracks have been incredible so far. I don't know how much feedback he's been given on these tracks as such, but they are a breath of fresh air. They really, really are. Obviously, they're fully fantasy. They do follow more of a one-to-one scaling. This game doesn't always work great in that regard, but the way that he's built the jump faces and the difficulty of the rhythms, I think it works really, really well, because the track does force you to slow down a little bit, which makes the one-to-one scaling work a hell of a lot better than some of the other tracks, and I'm a fan of it. Not everyone will be. Some people say, what is this? This is too tight, it's too difficult, but throw yourself in the deep end and you will only get better. So let's try this again. So you want to go step on, step off, quad. The front end got a little bit light. But yeah, stepping over that table right there, I think 100% would be doable on a KTM or a Husky. And actually, to go improve that, I'm going to hop on a KTM right now and see if we can do it first try. I kind of want to do this all in one take as well. That's fine, that's fine. What has my tyre pressures changed? Okay, let's go back to that. Now, I also am going to put the old quick shift on as well. So we turn shift help off. And I want to see if I can do this in one go to see if it is just night and day difference or if I'm reading into it too much. So we're going to pretend that we've just come through this tunnel. Come round to the left here. So it's just on, off, step over. Oh no, I hung the back end there as well. Okay, so it's not just that easy. Good to know. Might take me a couple of attempts to get it down. But yeah, for the rest of the season, I don't feel any need to change bike. I am comfortable on the KTM. It is just my raw speed that's lacking a bit, but I don't think that's a bike problem. Because if we take Detroit as an example, Rax won at Detroit and he was on the KTM, and he was a good second or so lap quicker than me. So it is purely skill issue at that point. Or a little bit of bike setup might help as well, but you know me, once I get slightly comfortable on something, I'm not someone to go changing settings all the time. I do think that's a bit of a cope though, to blame setups, because my setup is very, very capable. I do just think it's me. It's in the old fingers, the old man. The reaction times aren't quite what they used to be. And I'm noticing that more and more these days. I know you probably hear me saying how old I am all the time, and I know there's people much older than myself that play this game and watch my videos. But the people that I'm competing against are more in their, let's say, gaming prime than I am. Even playing stuff like Call of Duty now and playing Warzone. The people that I play with, they're very, very good at Call of Duty and Warzone in general. But for me, it's like I play at such a slower pace than them, because my brain just struggles to just take in all the information at once and then act upon it. It's very much more like, right, I've done this, now I've done this, now I need to do this, instead of everything all combined. But I don't know, maybe it's just a skill issue as well, because I notice people that are newer to this game having that exact same feeling with MX bikes, whereas I'm playing the game, a lot of it's muscle memory, and it all comes to me. I kind of like link sections together and press all these different buttons at the same time. Yeah, people that are newer to the game are right, I've done this turn, now I need to try and go over this jump, now I need to actually try and land this jump, now I have to hit the next turn. So I guess it's kind of the same thought process. I mean, I definitely don't have the 4,000 hours in Warzone that I have on MX bikes, so that could also be a big difference there. But practice makes perfect, you know? You're never going to be good at this game overnight. You have to spend a hell of a lot of time, really break things down as well. I know when I first started playing it, I spent just as much time in the replay camera watching where I went wrong as much time as I was actually playing the game. If I went through a rut and the front end tucked, for example, or if I clicked a handlebar, I'd look to see the exact point that happened at to make sure I could not replicate it, if that makes sense, and then to not make that mistake again. And eventually, once you've made so many mistakes I'm going over the bars. There we go, X Games mode. And once you've made so many mistakes, and you've made so many corrections, and you've watched yourself so many times, you will have done everything. And then you'll know how to tackle all these different sections, and you know how the bike's going to handle underneath you. In outdoors, like, I'm not the best outdoors. Some people are absolutely insane how fast they go outdoors. But it's like, eventually you will have hit every kind of rut and every kind of jump at every kind of speed and every sort of braking bump at every kind of angle. And you just know what the bike's going to do before you even get there, so you can preemptively change how you approach things. And I think that's the biggest difference between the top guys and someone at more of an intermediate level in the game. It's purely the experience. That you can get to a very high level very quickly in MX bikes, but to then gain them extra couple of seconds or them extra couple of attempts once you get really good at it is a whole different level of time spent playing. And also just having a knack for games in general. People will pick up the game faster than others. There's someone can have 200 hours and be better than someone with 2,000 hours. That's just the way it is. You have to put the time in, be a good learner, then you also have to have a talent for these things as well. So if you are at low hours and you're struggling with Supercross, don't throw it all in the bin straight away. Just see it through, try and learn from your mistakes. If you messed up a corner, go and replay, watch it, see where it went wrong. Went wrong? That is not proper English. See where it went wrong, try and work on it, and then not make that same mistake next time. And then you should just get better and better from that point. But I'm going to try and lock in a little bit. I don't know if I'll necessarily stream a whole bunch of me practicing, but I definitely want to spend, even if it's 20-30 minutes a night on the game, just keeping the fingers warm, keeping the muscle memory down, you know, because I can't be taking a week off, not playing the game, and then rocking up to Aerial on the Friday and expecting to win. It's just not realistic, especially when other people that I'm competing against do all sorts of races throughout the week in all sorts of different series. So I'll probably spend like 20-30 minutes a night just getting better overall. And then before I disappear as well, I know that I've said this every couple of months, but I've found myself back into the gym again, and I have no set thing in mind, you know, cardio some days, weights other days, a little bit of everything, just to, not even just from an aesthetic perspective, but before it starts warming up again here in the UK, the weather is still absolutely miserable, it's cold and rainy and horrible, before the weather starts getting good again and we can all start going out riding again, I'd like to be in some sort of a better shape. And I'm not going to be bike fit, because fitness and bike fitness are completely different things, I'm well aware, but I will at least be more cardio fit than anything. So try and hold me liable on that a little bit. A lot of people ask me in live streams how it's been going, and I just say I've not been in months. So finally back on the horse again. We'll see how that goes. If any of you are going to the Manchester Arena Cross this weekend coming up, actually, I will be there. So feel free to say hello if you see me. I always like meeting you. You always seem to be very nice people in person. Funny that. A lot of you could be absolute twats behind the keyboard. Yeah, when you meet you in person, absolutely lovely. So keep that energy coming. And yeah, I mean, by all means, feel free to come and say hello. It's nice talking to people. And if not, if nothing else, then good luck for racing this Friday. I should hopefully have another video out. I need to just start getting back on the daily grind. But I'm kind of, I don't want to say the game's stale for me, but I just love I would love a game update. Just something to mix things up, things to change a little bit. But I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. But we'll see what the future brings. Rolling MTG. I'm hoping MTG is as good as they make it out to be. I'm going to absolutely grind the shit out of that game if it is. So thank you very much for watching. Nothing else to say. Sorry that it's been so long, but hopefully you can find it in your hearts to forgive me. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and there's something within here that you can, I guess, use in your riding to help you out a little bit. And if it does in any way, then please do let me know. I always like hearing that people have got faster or better from watching my videos. And when I have one-on-one coaching sessions with people, I love when they DM me like a couple of days later saying, oh, I've dropped this much time off of this track and so on and so forth. It makes me smile. For someone that really hates people like me, I do also like seeing people improve and getting better at things that they enjoy. So, good vibes only. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this, by all means, please do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. It's always very much appreciated. Bigger number makes my ego get better. So, thank you very much in advance, and have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're up to. I will see all of you in the next video. Peace.